smaller screen, bigger star, Florence Pugh, as I was just mentioning, in The Wonder on Netflix. I had an interesting experience with this movie where I really felt like the first half of it or so, I was like, I don't know if this is my cup of tea. I don't know if this movie's really what I'm looking for. And then things really start to flip and shift with it. And I felt like the second half, I was really sucked in and really like into the movie and what it was trying to say. And things started to kind of click for me. Did you have that same feeling?
Yeah, I think so. The wonder kind of right away, you understand the core of the conflict. We're set in like countryside Ireland, 1862, not too soon after the, of course, infamous potato famine,
Right.
and Pugh's character is brought in as an English nurse to figure out what's up with this titular wonder, this girl who hasn't eaten for 4 months. But it's quite clear right away that, like, obviously some sus shit's going on. There's some fraudulent behavior in this village. Scammers are about. And I think, like, that tension of, like, what's going to happen? Like, well, that, like, I was pretty convinced that, like, the movie wasn't going to suddenly have some divine turn and, like, there be some real miracle shit going on, right? But I think the movie has to progress far enough to bring you to that point where Pugh's character tells the truth to the people that want to know, but then she's not believed, and then you actually get the real tension of, like, what are they gonna do?
Mhm.
Is she just gonna give up and let this girl die, or is she gonna find some way to take matters into her own hands? But you kind of have to get to that point, right? Because the first half is a lot of observation and thinking, basically. Um, but yeah, I think once it kind of ratchets it up in that second half, it's like, oh, okay, this actually, I think it wraps up like just neatly enough. I think, um, and overall, it had a bit of an atmospheric vibe as a period piece in the countryside. So yeah, I still had a pretty good time with it.
I definitely had a good time with it. I think as I was saying, the first half, as Pew is like meeting this ultra religious family, kind of talking with the council, laying the groundwork of like who everybody is. There's like an air of mystery to it, which I think is like the main thing that kept me interested. But once Pew finds out, how the family is actually like feeding her and kind of keeping this ruse going, and you have the I don't know if it's a confrontation between Lib and the daughter there.
Hmm.
Then then I think things really start to shift. Anna is the daughter's name, um, because when she like discloses the sexual assault that she was experiencing, sexual abuse
Yeah.
from the brother, how the brother died and she was blamed for it, and the family is like, like basically like making her like keep up this ruse, this lie to like
Hmm.
create some like kind of like absolution, um,
Yeah,
of this like
like a
horrible act is
religious way to pass and thus free her brother from eternal damnation, basically.
yeah, like just a yeah, I
Bizarre.
think yeah, completely bizarre, but kind of going with the theme of like you believe these stories. People tell themselves stories all the time, and it has this like fourth wall breaking opening and ending,
Yeah.
and then the imagery of the bird in the cage toy that you flip around. I mean, it's all like a bit on the nose, but also I think like fairly effective, which I I ended up enjoying more by the end. And yeah, that second half when Pew is just figuring out how am I going to convince this girl to like accept her story and then believe this new story, I thought was pretty interesting in order for
Mhm.
her to like believe that she died and now is like reborn as Pew's like daughter, as Nan.
Mhm.
I thought that was all pretty fascinating. I think like going back to the English, similarly, I didn't like the love story in this, right? So you have
Tom
the
Burke.
yeah, Tom Burke as the journalist, William Byrne, who's in England kind of writing up this like I don't know, interest piece on this. And
Mhm.
I I just don't believe Florence Pugh and him would end up together. I'm sorry.
I
Come
gotta
on.
say, the first sex scene though, I was dying when she's like, "Thank you," and he's like, "No, thank you." And they both laugh. I was like, "Dude, that's actually perfect and
Yeah.
quite realistic, honestly."
No, totally. Completely agree. Um, yeah, I definitely found that funny. I think I just was like, man, Florence Pugh is one of the like, I don't know, one of the like most uh magnetic people, and
Yes,
Tom Burke
effervescent.
just, yeah, just does not exude that same energy. So not quite a match, but that's fine. I mean, this is just a Pugh showcase through and through, and I think she's
Totally.
great.
Yeah.
She can
Yeah,
do this
yeah.
kind of role in her sleep.
Oh, definitely. And I mean, this movie's directed by Sebastian Lelio, the
Hmm.
Chilean filmmaker. We talked about his last movie, Gloria Bell, a few years back. Uh, Honestly, it seems like Florence was probably just kind of able to squeeze this movie into her schedule and got it done. They made this last year.
Hmm.
Um, Netflix picked it up after Telluride. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think it's a movie that slowly shows you that it has more on the mind, and it actually does make good on that fourth wall breaking opening about like the stories we convince yourselves. Because when that starts, it's like, oh, it's a bit hokey, and you have Florence Pugh's voice lording over you in the background, telling you the thesis of the movie. And next thing you know, you're transported to 1860s Ireland, and it takes you a while to bring it back around, but they do bring it back around. So I enjoyed it, and yeah, it is nice to see an actor of the caliber of Florence Pugh, who's so in demand for higher budget, bigger name things, to also find a way to make time for a much smaller personal movie that is really centered around her acting abilities. So we love to see it.
So this year we got "Don't Worry, Darling," The Wonder. She also was in Hawkeye. I mean, what was your favorite Pew performance in the past year?
Are we forgetting something? Or is that it?
Um,
No, that's it, right?
Black Widow, I guess, was the year before.
Yeah, never mind, never mind. And then she'll be in Dune 2 next year. Um,
Yes, it feels like
I think
she's more present than that for sure.
for sure. I think this would be my favorite performance of hers, but I probably actually liked watching Don't Worry, Darling more. Despite its
Yeah,
flaws. We talked about that. Check the review.
yeah, no, I agree. I think she's great in this, but again, it almost feels like she kind of sleepwalks with this like broken character who's like cast into this psychological drama. Like
Hmm.
it feels like a lot of what she's done. I actually almost feel like something um like Hawkeye, where she's kind of like out there and having to be a little bit more fun, and like she gets to do
Yeah.
an accent. That almost feels like
Stealing the
it's,
scenes that she's
yeah.
in. Yeah.
I almost want to see her just doing more of that stuff. It's just so much more fun. So,
Well, between Dune 2 and Oppenheimer, she's in two movies upcoming that are loaded with A-listers. So I feel like it'll be more in that line because she's not going to
mhm.
command the screen because there's so many stars in them.
She's also gonna be in the Zach Braff movie next year, A Good Person.
Yeah.
Her
That'll
ex
be a
beau,
rich text when that one comes out.
for sure. So a lot to dig into. I'm excited to talk more about her